Welcome back to a brand new edition of Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And I am Virtue, being joined by none other than the man himself, Big Vito Lagrasso. What's up, man?
It's the BIGB from the LOG right here on Getting Color. It's a Sunday night, getting prepared to deliver this to you on a hot Monday. Hopefully everybody's going to enjoy the show. We've been having a great time doing Getting Color. You know, we got my host right there. I'll be the co-host since I'm co-captain of this team. You know, it's always good to be, in case anything goes wrong, it's Virtue's fault. It's good. But let's start off things with this bury Aaron Rip. Now, again, we've tried to get in touch with him from the No DQ when his show was real hot, when he had the A players on. But since he has the B players on, things have been going bad for Aaron Rip. And then he's got a fiance, a mother-in-law. Did you see the pizza thing he left, Virtue? Did he ever buy us pizza?
Dude, and it was like Pizza Hut. Like, yeah. Who promotes pizza? It's not like it was a mom and pop shop with some really good stuff.
No, it's because it was for his girlfriend. I can't.
Yeah, well, anyway, he owes us a three-way Skype call so we can discuss future business.
I know. We've been trying. Guys from the No DQ and everything, we have been trying for the past month to get him on and to get a hold of him, but he's too in love. And before, when he had no girlfriend, hey, guys, hey, boys, how's everything? Calling us nonstop, day and night. And what happens? He forgot about us. But what happens when he breaks up? Where's he going to come back to? The boys. Who's he going to call?
This is love forever. This is love forever. This is why he's delaying meetings and stuff like this and shows.
You know the song When a Man Loves a Woman?
Yeah.
Listen to that once in a while. Okay, just listen to it. All right, enough of the Aaron Rip.
Well, it was good to start off lighthearted like that, but the first topic, not wrestling. George Floyd, right, and the police officer that murdered him on camera in Minneapolis. Obviously, there are corrupt people in law enforcement, okay? So there's a lot of layers to this, Vito. An innocent man died. I don't care if he had a criminal past or whatever. What that police officer did was absolutely wrong, and people like that, monsters, should be arrested and put in jail. I know a lot of people protest and, the Colin Kaepernick stuff. Hey, let's do this peacefully with the knee. There are bad police officers out there in law enforcement. There are good ones too. And it sucks when stuff like this happens because now the stereotyping begins. And of course, with racism, hey, you stereotype African Americans and black people, so we can stereotype police officers. I want to hear your take on this because now there's riots. And there's one thing for peaceful protesting, going out with your sign and having, not having the cops have to get involved or, and then there's riots, vandalism, people on social media trying to say that some police officers are doing things where the peaceful protesters are. I don't know what to believe. Where they're basically hurting people that are peaceful protesting. What's your take on this? Because America is unraveling before our very eyes. And then they always blame Donald Trump, Donald Trump. What's going on with this civil war? I mean, I'm calling it that because it's nuts, Vito. In my lifetime, I can't believe our country is melting down like this.
All right, guys. I just want to state that I don't ever voice my opinion on politics. When stuff like this happens, I keep very low profile and I don't have a say because it's better to not say anything. I will say this. It's very sad what happened. It's horrible. It takes away from all the good quality police officers we have who do the job for the right reasons, and it's a shame. It takes away their credibility to uphold the law and to protect us, because at the end of the day, who do you call when things go wrong? You call the police. And it just puts a bad taste in not only police officers' mouths, people's mouths, but the whole world, because how do you deal with this kind of stuff? Now, being that I'm older and I grew up in the 60s as a kid now, I saw riots and all this stuff at the end tail. Now, I was a kid. And the Vietnam War, the end of the Vietnam War, the late 60s to 73. And I was a kid, so I really didn't understand it. But then when you live through it and you actually see what happens and you see the riots and everything, it's very disheartening. And I did not partake in this. I would never partake in anything like this. This is not my cup of tea. But to see all the people out there in every state taking a stand with vandalism and rioting, and you're not doing anything for the cause, you're just causing more grief for people. And for how this man died, it doesn't validate for what's taking place. My wife just showed me a clip of a truck driver trying to go through a protest and running over people. You know, a mall in Tampa got torched, a mall. They were throwing fire bombs at, police officers. I am looking at this as an analyst and a journalist. I have no opinion. And for the way it looks, it's very sad. How about if we just protest peacefully like we should, like good human beings, the way we're supposed to, and hopefully this goes away. Remember, we're in the middle of COVID-19, so
Yeah.
all these protests, we forgot about this. What happens in 2 weeks, in 14 days, when people are contracted or get in contact with this virus, and then is there going to be another outbreak where it's going to be even worse than what we did? Are we going to have to close everything down again? Are we going to be on lockdown? Is there going to be a shortage of food? Is there going to be a shortage of things? What will happen to us then? We have the next 2 weeks to see. Virtue, go.
Well, it's like the people that peaceful protests say, well, nothing gets done when we do that. So we're going to really make a statement and start like destroying things. Like, well, how do these people think? Like, that's going to change. Like, they're going to make a movement and things are going to change just because they get violent. Like, that's what I don't understand. And it's almost like I'm looking at it. I'm like, these people are going out there like America's a third world country, and we're not. So it's the blame game, right? It's the blame game. Everyone wants to choose their side. And look, what happened to George Floyd is absolutely wrong. Racism should not exist. Unfortunately, there's so many people in the world, Vito, in the United States, it does exist. So there has to be more strategic ways to try to get rid of it. And this, violence, protesting, destroying storefronts, police cars, absolutely nuts. Yeah, there's some police officers out there maybe using their power in the wrong way, but at the same time, there are good ones out there too. So I don't know what all this means. It's just nuts. I'm glad I'm in an area where I'm kind of not around this. People probably call me racist, right? Because I don't want anything to do with this. Look, when I grew up, Vito, I played sports, football, baseball, basketball with Hispanic friends, with black friends. We all got along. We listened to all kinds of music, right? I listened to country, rap, rock. We watched wrestling. We got along. And this was in the 90s.
Listen, it's just a very sad situation. Everybody has their views on it. Like I said, we on this show, Getting Color, we are not politically connected to anything. We just voice our opinion. We try to be positive. We're not trying to run for office. We're not trying to validate anything. I just want to make that perfectly clear. This is just an observation of what we see. I hope we can rectify this in the next couple weeks where there's no more damage done. And I think we'll end the conversation on a positive note. Let there be peace in this world. Virtue, go ahead.
Yep. Well, we'll go on to wrestling. And for the third straight show, we're talking about Mike Tyson. So last week, we didn't know exactly what they were going to do on Dynamite with him. His entourage came out and him and Jericho got face to face. And a lot of people say, hey, this is a rehash of the Attitude Era thing. I even think him and Jericho had an altercation on Raw in 2010. It looks like they might be setting up some type of potential pay-per-view thing with this. Will Tyson be able to work a match? Will it be a tag match where he won't have to do much? What do you think will happen with this? You and I have both said Mike Tyson's definitely going to get back in the boxing ring at some point. There's money. They're going to sell a lot of pay-per-views with this, right? And I think AEW wants to jump on this bandwagon because Tyson's the hot thing right now. Do you think it'll get to something physical on an AEW pay-per-view? Or do you think they were just using him on Dynamite just one last time and this will kind of go away? Is this something now? Is Tyson part of AEW for at least a pay-per-view in terms of getting physical, getting in the ring?
AEW's had the upper hand on NXT for quite some time. I
Yeah.
think they lost a couple weeks, but overall, AEW has the viewers locked in. Okay, like we stated on previous shows, if you put the one show together, comes out to 1.3 million every week, like 400,000 less than what Monday Night Raw is getting. Now, with them having Tyson come on, I thought it looked cheap when he got involved as him not presenting the award and him getting involved.
Yep. From the
Now,
pay-per-view, from
from the
Double or
paper.
Nothing.
Now, if he was going to come out, I understand the concept of him coming out with his backup, right? But Mike Tyson came out as a gangster instead of the world champion prestige, right? Now, remember, I'm not knocking Mike Tyson. I'm not knocking the AEW, but when you have people who are not in the wrestling business and you ask them to perform in a wrestling ring, it's totally different. Mike Tyson tried to rip off a shirt. It took him a half hour to rip a shirt off. Okay,
And that's
so
not the first time he struggled with that. He actually struggled with it on Raw in 2010 too, and just pulled it off.
right. So you talk about that, and that was kind of the latest reaction. Then when he shoved Jericho, it was a weak shove. Instead of him shoving him like he shoved Stone Cold Steve Austin, he was so close to the rope, there was no place for him to bump or bump back to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when the melee started, okay, it looked kind of hokey, if you know what I mean, because Jericho hit one guy, he went this way. Then like Tyson kind of like, he'll hold me back, hold me back. For the overall thing, we got the gist of it, but from the working standpoint, you're dealing with inexperienced guys. Then a video shows up on Twitter, which we both viewed.
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
And then what do you see? Him in the back of the locker room with Tyson and Jericho and all the guys sharing a laugh and joke. If you're going to put a pay-per-view on and it's going to be kayfabe, you don't let the marks in the dressing room.
Exactly.
There should be no cameras in the dressing room. This is why the wrestling business is the way it is, because we expose it. Now, are we going to see a fight? Probably. Are we going to see they're going to be best friends afterwards? Probably. It's a working thing. But for the initial shock value, it took away all the credibility that they tried to perform. And I'm sorry, I'm not knocking AEW, but you don't let the marks in the business. You don't let the marks backstage. You don't let them. You don't let them videotape what goes back on. That's sacred. That's a sacred code place. That's the back cave. Nobody goes in the back cave. Nobody should be in the back.
Unless the AEW is filming something for their shows, but you don't film that kind of stuff, especially if you do want Tyson to get in the ring with Jericho. And I think it can work out because, I mean, they had Rodman, Karl Malone back in WCW. They tagged with somebody. But, you can get non-wrestler athletes. I mean, hopefully it's not like a 24/7 Rob Gronkowski thing. But I think they can make this work. And Jericho's a pro. I'm interested to see what happens here. But, yes, they do need to tighten the ship up a little bit if they want people to take this seriously. And Vito, I almost feel like AEW just wants to cater to their fans. And if they don't please the casuals who would like this kind of stuff, then they just don't care. So I'm just wondering if they're just like, oh, we got Tyson on our show. If things don't go perfectly, all well, because we can get right back to the in-ring action, which is what our fan base wants anyway. I just don't know if they're taking the bit seriously,
And to boot, Kurt Angle did not stack up or draw the people. They thought they did. Didn't do it. Although NXT, from what I understand, and some of the highlights, Matthew Riddle and Thatcher did have a good match. Kudos to those guys. But the Kurt Angle effect on it really didn't carry over for them beating, and the AEW in the NXT and AEW wars.
Now, Matt Riddle, the rumor is he's going to the main roster. He actually took the L in that cage fight against Thatcher. They did a whole gimmick thing, too, where Thatcher spit some teeth out. I believe that was gimmick. So very cleverly done. But any hopes for Matt Riddle on the main roster? This guy's cocky. We've talked about him before. He says things. He goes into business for himself on social media, like calling out Lesnar. Now, I know that you get heat like that with the workers and stuff, but I feel like a Vince McMahon, who, so I'm told through the Vince Russos of the world and this and that, sometimes when you're a dick to Vince, like Brock Lesnar is, he respects you a little bit. I almost wonder if Matt Riddle might get a strong push because maybe Vince is like, wow, who is this prick? Who is this 1995 locker room Shawn Michaels? You know what I mean? Like, any thoughts on Matt Riddle? Do you think he's going to amount to anything? I think he
They,
could replace Roman Reigns as Vince's new shiny toy in a different way. What do you
I
think?
think that he's going up to the main roster, but they're not going to put in the same emphasis on the bro gimmick, and I think it's going to get watered down, just like Nakamura, just like Kevin Owens, just like everybody else who went to SmackDown, right? And you look at Matt Riddle, right? He's not a big guy, right? It's nothing like him making him a powerhouse where he's going to, roll through people. So I just they'll give him a little push. If it doesn't bite mid-card status, he'll never see Lesnar, he'll never see Goldberg, and besides that, those guys don't want to work with him.
I think you will see Lesnar. I think Vince McMahon will make it happen, but not Goldberg. But we'll see. I like when you and I differ, like the whole Roman Reigns thing, because when it'll give us something to talk about for future episodes.
Roman Reigns
you ready?
still out there, still not heard from,
Yeah.
still not on any advertising. I'm telling you, he got the secret buyout. He's sitting quiet. He's living lovely. They're paying his contract. And
I'm using that to parlay into Vince McMahon needs a new toy, and I'm thinking maybe it'll be Matt Riddle, but we'll see what happens. Are you ready for this one, Vito?
go ahead.
Finn Balor gets buckle bombed several years ago by Seth Rollins, injured on the barricade on the outside.
Right.
Sting by Seth Rollins, career over. Kairi Sane a month or two ago by Nia Jax could have got potentially hurt. And I'm sure there's been I've seen the buckle bomb used on WWE TV in between them, even if it's been successful and no one got hurt, several times in between. Now in 2020, all of a sudden it's a banned move. And I just want to know, why now? What's your thought on this after it's kind of been too late? I mean, shouldn't you have banned it after the Finn Balor injury? What's your take on WWE trying? Because, they've banned pile drivers. There's certain neck moves. What's your thoughts here?
All right. Now, the injury status on the Kyrie girl, okay, did she get a concussion? Did she injure her neck? Did she go on the injured list? Has she wrestled since?
She has. But ironically, there was something she did with Nia Jax, I think taped and got hurt during a Nia Jax match. I don't think it's aired yet. But it wasn't, I guess that was deemed it wasn't Nia's fault, but it's just weird. That was a different supposed injury Kairi Sane took in a match against Nia Jax since that buckle bomb. And then all of a sudden now WWE announces that's a banned move. So it's just weird. It's fishy.
I just think after the scrutiny that it received, and they're probably getting some backlash, they figured, let's take it out of the vocabulary. Let's take it out. Let's make this place safe again, because they did get a little risque with all the stuff that's going on in the world and in professional wrestling as far as head injuries, concussions, and everything. So, I mean, they took the initiative. They took it away. And Nia Jax is still TikToking. So, and she's on point with the TikToking, but her wrestling.
But I think someone on one of Russo's shows mentioned, if that was her gimmick to come out and dance like Brodus Clay did, then the TikToking would make sense. She's promoting her gimmick. But she coming out on TV as a mean monster.
I know.
And we talked about
TikTok, she's dancing with her girlfriends. She's, doing all the pump moves. She's smiling. She's laughing. She's having a good time. Hey, it's your career, your push. It went out the toilet. You should have won the Money in the Bank. You should be the champ right now, and you're going to be defeated at the next pay-per-view.
Yeah, so, I think she's facing Asuka.
Yeah, so good luck. Keep TikToking. You've ruined your push. And that's it. That's all I got to say. Right. It's over.
Moving on. All right, so there was a debut in AEW this past week on Dynamite, and I want to know what you think, if they're damaged goods or not. So they are the Revival from WWE. And, of course, they showed up. I don't know if they're going to have officially a new name, but they're doing the whole FTR thing, which is fuck the Revival. Okay, I don't know if they're going to have a new name or not. But they come out, look pretty cool. Again, you're having these debuts in AEW with no fans. You'd think, like when Matt Hardy came in, and who else was it? Brody Lee. You think they would save some of these people for when they can have people in arenas again. I know we don't know when that's going to be, because it takes the impact away from some of these debuts, so to speak. Are they damaged goods? Could this be could they work out in AEW? They're supposed to be like the brain busters, like Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard.
Well, I noticed that they got bigger. You notice that
Did they?
they all kind of buffed up. I mean, they've been staying home, taking their vitamins, working out hard. They came on. They look good. I mean, their thing is to have a feud with the Bucks. I don't think it's to go for the titles right off the bat. But like I said, the Bucks have been doing good business with AEW. They've been putting guys over, they've been getting people over, and that's been the thing. And anytime the Bucks put their stamp on, okay, it's time for us to be champs, they'll be champs. But right now, it's bringing in talent, bringing in tag teams, making it interesting. Not crushing people, not bringing in new talent and squashing them in a championship match because the only way to go is down. So I mean, it's good for them. They came in a good spot. Very cool thing. I hope to see them do great things. Good luck to them. There we go.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, I don't get behind these teams that much unless the TV is compelling. Like, they could show up and get in a feud against the Bucks or whoever and have these wrestling matches, and the wrestling fans that want that stuff today could all hoot and holler about that. But like, if there's no good angle and storylines, to me, I don't get invested. And it's like you're just watching these long wrestling matches. And ultimately, you get a winner or loser at 50-50 booking most of the time. And it's just like blah.
Is anything in wrestling very watchable right now?
No, but like
Okay.
you have a team coming off of, they were going to get made fun of in WWE. Supposedly Vince was going to have them do some goofy gimmick. They end up leaving.
100%. I get you. You're going to say this. You said this all week long. Well, I'm agreeing with you, right? And I'm saying it to you as your co-host on Getting Color with the Big Vito brand. You represent No DQ. Wrestling is not fun. And we could sit here and dissect it all we want, and with the no fans, you don't know how the reactions are. Drew McIntyre, I think, is dying. He's dying. You know what I mean? All the rest of the programming is dying. You know what I mean? You see it in the ratings. I forgot to ask you to look at the ratings. I think it was 1.7 for Raw this past week.
Raw was under 2. I know SmackDown was up slightly. SmackDown, because it was like maybe 2.1, but Raw was down.
Raw was down, okay? And Raw's supposed to be the flagship. And like I've been saying, every week we agree. What happens when sports come back to the fold? People are going to switch and watch sports. They ain't going to watch this. And then you're going to really see the shit hit the fan. And what are they going to do then? Right now, especially after everything we've been going through, and especially in the next couple weeks, just let's see if COVID-19 is going to take over the world and we're going to be on an official lockdown where we're going to be, can't go out, can't do more than this, with everything just opening up and everything in the world going on. I just think sports entertainment in general is going to suffer greatly. Don't be surprised if you see more releases coming.
Now, for our main event, I did mention that SmackDown was slightly up. Not anything worthwhile, like, oh, what happened on the show to get it up? Maybe just coincidence. They opened the show with an angle where Elias was hit by a car. Right? Like it was a drive-by or a hit and run. And
Notice
they did the whole
AEW.
Yeah.
Hit by a golf cart, hit by a car. Go ahead.
And they did the whole, hey, Jeff Hardy type deal, like he was inebriated and he was getting arrested for a DUI. Now, as the show went on, Twitter's blowing up. Oh my God, with Jeff's past, I can't believe, like, Russo's putting this over. Vince Russo and the clan thought this was great because it's story, right? It's drama. You can watch Law and Order Special Victims Unit. The whole show's about this kind of stuff. Of course, by the end of the show, Jeff he must have been released. He wasn't drunk. He shows up and it was just a swerve, an angle. So people were actually complaining. Fans were complaining during the whole 2 hours of SmackDown. Like, how can they do this to Jeff? This is his demons. This is bad. Then I see Russo putting it over, thinking, wow, this is, it's getting people riled up as a storyline. And then they paid it off as he really wasn't drunk and he was wrongfully arrested, supposedly, and he showed up to get revenge at the end of SmackDown. Right or wrong with this kind of stuff with Jeff's past, I'm under the belief that Jeff could say no. He could go home. He could decide I refuse to do it. You're going to pay me or not, I'm not going to do it. What's your take on controversial angles like this? I tend to think they're okay, just as long as the talent says okay as well.
Guys, I got to tell you,
Uh-oh.
I hate it. I didn't listen to Russo and Ben Hameen and Stevie Richards and all the rest of the podcast. I'm giving you what Vito LaGrasso thinks here on Getting Color on the Big Vito brand. I hate it so much that you exploit a person's life and get into their personal relationships and get into their personal well-beings and bring it to light in TV. They go through great lengths to hide your flaws. Now they bring it out because they lack storylines. Did anybody ever think that this is retaliation for Matt Hardy leaving the WWE? And who do they take it out on? Jeff Hardy, his brother.
They are known to hold grudges like that. So
What
you got a
happened
very valid point.
What happened with John Moxley when he said he wasn't re-signing? They jobbed him, embarrassed him, and he kept his chin up. He went out and did it. There were certain things he wouldn't do and certain things he wouldn't say. But guys,
Oh, and his wife Renee got removed from commentary. Sure, she does the backstage interviews and stuff, but that's just a little coincidence as well.
guys, this has been going on for 30, 40, 50 years. When you don't go what's going on, they always get their revenge. If you come back, they'll give you the contract. I've been saying this for years. This is the God's honest truth. Now, being Matt, his brother, came on and said, glad I wrestled for AEW because we don't do garbage like this. Guys, when they did the Lana and Rusev thing, I thought it was distasteful and disrespectful to their marriage. And if that was my wife, I'd say, no, I'm not doing this. This is my wife. The guy, who's the guy who got married and he's trying to have sex with his wife and he's doing the 24/7 title like it's more important? They did that because that guy is a mark and he thinks of more of wrestling than he does of anything. And then he did the crying video where he was crying on there. I lost
Drake,
my job.
Drake Maverick,
Yeah.
Spud, Rockstar Spud.
Okay, I understand this stuff, but when you give yourself the open, they're going to take inside your guts. You're going to say, take my belly button. No, they're going to reach inside, pull to the back of your spine, and pull everything out of you until they have nothing left. Now, this thing with Jeff Hardy, don't you think he's been under enough embarrassment, especially with this Sting incident where they had to pin him because he was intoxicated and Sting had to do what he did? And we're trying to forget that. They try to bring him to WWE. They bring him in with his brother. They're big hype. They win the titles. It should have went on Enzo and Kaz, but the Hardys came in and took away from them. And then what did they do? They broke them up. Who's injured? Who's not injured? Then they split them. Guys, I think it's very distasteful. They could have put Jeff Hardy back in the realm and built him up, but they have hindsight saying that he's going to leave at the end of his contract, go over there, join his brother. Then they're going to finally have what they want: the Hardys against the Young Bucks. Okay, and that's the match everybody wants. And now that you have the Revival there, then it's going to be the Hardys against the Revival against the Young Bucks. And this is taking nothing away from the current tag teams that they have in AEW, which are very good. And I'm saying it here, and not that I'm trying to gain anything, but the main focus is on the Young Bucks, the Hardys, the Revival. And when you put those elements on, or what you want to see in tag team wrestling, that's the go-to right now. Go ahead.
Now, when they pitched this idea backstage, Jeff, is he too much of a professional to say no just so he can collect his check? At this stage in his career, if he really was uncomfortable doing this, you think he could have spoke up? Or do you just think he's just too much of a professional, like, all right, I'm going to do this, but I'm getting out of this place at some point? Like, you know what I mean? What do you think? Because you worked backstage there and got told what you had to do. Like, I'm just curious from that point of view.
He probably has a nice contract. Okay. I'd say he's making 7 figures. In today's economy, are you going to say no and jeopardize your job? No. You're going to ride it out. You're going to collect your money. You're going to shut your mouth. You're going to do what you're going to do, because there is no place else to go. I don't think they're going to pay him that much money in AEW. And God forbid AEW doesn't last a year, then he's out of a job like everybody else. So what is he going to do? He's going to ride his contract out. He's going to play ball. He's going to be the professional, do what he's going to do. He'll go someplace else. And that's it, guys. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. He's collecting a paycheck at this point.
Is there any benefit of the doubt with that angle, since they revealed that he really wasn't drunk and it was just a misunderstanding, even though they did the like it could have been, right, to tease people, but they paid it off that he wasn't. Does that make it any better, or does it,
No, it
because
does
at the
not.
beginning of the show it was still a potential DUI arrest to Jeff Hardy?
Why would you bring up somebody's flaws who got
Okay.
suspended, had a hard time, got arrested, was on probation, can't go still do things, and he paid a lot of money to get this all cleared up, and he's trying to clean up his life. Do you think he wants to be reminded that he did these things? Do you think he wants to be reminded that he's doing these things? I feel bad for him, and you know what? He's a nice guy. Okay, does he have some things that he has to take care of? Of course he does. Do you want to be reminded of it every day? No, you don't. You want to put it behind you. And he hasn't had a relapse from what I know, and he hasn't had any problems. I
I
don't
think it's
know
been
of.
over a year since his last DUI, but and
Yeah,
that's a good
it's
thing.
there.
So
It's there. But should you have to bring it into your professional career? No. Just leave it alone. Come up with something different. How about him trying to make the new Hardy Boys, and he goes through all these guys, and he has tryouts for the Hardy Boys. That's fun. And you just say, he goes, nah, no, and he just does the delete thing, delete, 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 and he lets
yeah,
off.
that's a good. There you go, Vito. You booked it right there. Good angle.
I just booked Jeff Hardy, right? And he's using his own brother's gimmick to get over. You heard it here first on Getting Color from Vito LaGrasso, because Vito LaGrasso always has a good idea. And what do? It'll show up on Raw or SmackDown. Guaranteed he'll use that delete thing. Guaranteed the Hardy Boy revival will happen. He'll get buried in that too, where there'll be a new Hardy Boy team. You heard it here first.
Well, we'll see. I guess there's going to be some Sheamus feud with Jeff Hardy, so we'll see where that goes. So stay tuned to see if they continue to do the demons and put it on camera. I mean, they did the Road Warrior Hawk back in the day. WCW teased it around with Scott Hall a little bit. I mean, it's been done kind of before, but it is a shame.
Who got their teeth knocked out by Sheamus? Was it Jeff or was it Matt?
I think it was Jeff.
All right, there you go, people. Round two.
With the
Round
bro
two.
kick. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it, Vito. Anything else you want to talk about? We are over 30 minutes. I know we had some touchy subjects today, but it's Getting Color, and that's what we do. And great
Guys,
conversation as always. But anything else you want to add before we go home?
guys, I just want to say, everybody thinks that life was terrible before all this stuff, right? And everybody has their things where you got to go to work, you're not making enough money, you're not doing things, maybe you need a new car, you need a new house, you're not getting enough food for your kids, Before COVID-19, everybody was living and they're going along. We had a hardship with COVID-19, right? And okay, went through a rough stretch and we're trying to get out of it, inch out of it, but people not following what we're supposed to. And, it's still on the rise, it's still there. Everybody has their say. And then for something like this to happen on top of it, and to have all these protests, and then deal with this, and then burning, hurting people, and doing this, guys, let's all be peaceful. Let's
Yes.
try to do this like ladies and gentlemen.
And
Let's
I am
try to
all
have,
for protesting and voicing your opinion, demonstrating if it's peacefully. I know earlier on I was going on a rant about how people going out there doing the violent stuff, they're idiots. I am all for the peaceful part of it, right? People should be able to go and make a difference. All the Black Lives Matter things are going on, this and that. Okay, I get it, right? We all should be one. I just get so upset when I see violence. It's just like, why? But I get it, because the bad things that happen that make these people upset is stemmed from the violence and the unjust murder and all that stuff. So it's crazy, Vito. I mean, I'm glad we can talk about it a little bit here on the show
I'm
today.
glad. I just hope everybody listens and just say, if you see things on Facebook and it's all political and all that stuff, sometimes it's just better to sit back and watch, grab a popcorn, and just not comment.
I'm starting to do that more. Like, I want to chime in, and then it's like there's been times where I'm ready to type something, send it, and I don't. You know what I mean?
And Twitter is another thing, guys. You'll see a lot of things come up. Guys, your voice is not going to change one of a million. And you know what? For one, I am not a politic guy. I am not into all this stuff. I keep quiet. I don't say anything. And if you read my posts on Twitter, on my Facebook, or anything, I say things are sad. Guys, let's band together. Let's have a positive day. Let's keep your heads up. And that's my thing. I'm not. I just. I want life to be easy. I don't want it to be hard. Everybody should have the same frame of mind.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Vito. Thanks for keeping me in check too, because I might not talk about any of that stuff on Twitter. I just do my normal sports, video games, wrestling
That's
stuff,
it.
and yeah. But hey, great show. And everybody, you can follow Vito on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. You can follow me, Virtue, on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. You can check Getting Color out on demand, of course, on Twitch. It's on Anchor, any place that plays audio podcasts. So, and for you loyal listeners that always come on Twitter and tell us how great of a job that Vito and I do, and you love the enlightening conversation, thank you, and continue to spread the word. So that's all I got. For Big Vito LaGrasso, I am Virtue. This is Getting Color right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.